Well, for one, hello, people that are not at East High. I'm going to do some review with the students that are here, so you get to sit on that since I can't be there with you. So we're going to review the 3 things that affect exposure in your photography. So there are 3. All right, somebody tell me one of them. ISO. ISO is one. What is another one? Anybody? Exposure, right? The aperture value. So your aperture. And the last one is shutter speed. Thank you, Gabe. Whoop, I almost wrote Gabe. Okay. Shutter speed. All right, so what do we know about exposure? It is how much what? How much light, right? So this is quantity of light. Okay? All of this matters when you go out to use your big cameras, right? So, quantity of light. Now we have them in this order, and I always put ISO first because, does anybody remember what ISO is? Like, what is that? Nobody remembers what ISO is? It's gonna be a rough semester. No? Yes, so sensitivity. All right, back in the day, on a film camera, you put film in, and the film was different sensitivities. So if you were going to go on a bright sunny day, you'd have 100. If you were going to go on a cloudy day, you might have 400 film. Okay. Typical what everybody shot with was usually 400, just because you could use a flash if you needed to. But it went, it goes clear up to like 16 and 3200s. So they would shoot with film. On the digital SLRs, they have the sensor inside. So the sensor, the digital sensor is what is sensitive, okay? So these run in numbers from, 100, 200, they like double, right? 400, 800, 1600, 3200, okay? On our cameras. Not all of our cameras go to 32, but they all go to 16, I believe. So, okay? So, this is what kind of sky? I just told you. What kind of light is this? When would you use 100?
On bright days.
On a bright day, okay? So, bright, sunshiny day. I should have left more room. Okay? So, if that's bright, sunshiny, what is this? Dark. Okay? So at night, maybe, right? There's our lovely little moon and star. Okay? Good so far? This is why we set this first, because that's not going to change, right? We know where we're going. We know what the light is like. Okay? All right, aperture. What is the aperture? Do you have it filled out? Okay. Aperture. I'm going to slide this one down. Okay? That way I can write while you're looking. Aperture is size of the opening of the lens, right? Opening lens. Okay? So it's how big that is. All right? So I have this off of an old camera. Know that my kids did not do this. I inherited it this way. But I showed this. I should have brought. Can you guys see? Hold on. Can you see through this? Can you guys see the light coming through? Does it show enough light? See, I can see it, but there's light behind you. So this is when we talk about the aperture. Can you see that, Gabe? When we talk about the aperture, this is what we're talking about. Is how much can you see? How much light is coming through? So this is an open aperture, right? And this is a pretty closed aperture. You see that small hole? Yes? Okay. So this is what we're talking about. So when I say, where's the aperture? It's in your lens. It's not has anything to do with the camera. It's all right here, okay? So as it relates to exposure, remember I told you guys the other day, I relate it to my eyes and whether or not I have to squint or not. So when would I use when would I use a wide open aperture? What kind of light?
Dark.
Dark, okay? So, where's my marker? So I'm gonna do a big opening here, right? When it's kind of dark out, right? So what am I gonna use in the bright light? Just like my eyeballs. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna close it, right? So I'm gonna have a smaller opening, okay, in the bright sunshiny day. And then the other stuff goes in between. So, you know, normal, okay? So far, so good. You getting this? Kind of makes sense? Okay, but I'm gonna add one more piece to this. We have numbers here, we don't have numbers here. Any idea what kind of number this is? Is this a small number or a big number? Which one's which? Small number for what kind of opening? Wrong. It's exactly opposite. Remember we talked about this the other day? It's exactly opposite. So if it's a big opening, it's a small number. So this might be like f 2.4. Okay? And this one might be f 22. Okay? And this might be like f11. Okay? So these are our f-stop numbers. And they sort of double as well, but they've got points in there. I don't quite get it. It's all mathy. Okay? Good so far. All right. Shutter speed. What is shutter speed? So we know this is the sensitivity. How sensitive is the camera? We know this is how big the opening of the lens is. Shutter speed is about what? Like, it's super in the name, but how fast it, what does what? Not exactly takes the pictures, but sort of. Yes, how fast it opens and closes. So, open and closes. Okay? So, we have fractions at this point. Okay? So, I have got this camera out of the other room because this is a good one to show you the shutter with. This is how we used to do this. So, on the top, where this little arrow is, this is our shutter speed. So, these are our numbers. So, we have like, there's a half a second, it's a 2, okay? So it's a 2, so it's like a half a second, okay? So when I open this, no, okay. So when I open this, gotta make sure my film is advanced. Watch the shutter. Emily, watch the shutter, it's visual. Ready? Half a second. Make sense? It stays open for a long time. So is that gonna let in a little light or a lot of light? With that amount of time, do you get a lot of light in?
Yes.
Yes, because watch this. This is 1/30th of a second. Did you see it? Kinda. 1/125th of a second. Starting to get harder to see, right? And then I'm gonna bump it way up. 1,000th of a second. Did I do that? Yeah, I did. Ready, here we go. Watch it. Don't blink. Did you see it? Like, no, right? That's 1,000th of a second. Our eyes can't do that. So which one lets in more light? That fast one? Or the first one? Right? It's like if you were blinking. You start with your eyes closed, you open and close, or you open and close, right? Which one lets in more light? Does that make sense to you? Okay? So, if I write up fractions, what am I gonna write up? For a little bit of light, what should I put? You remember what my number was? What was my 1/1000th? Okay, that was what I had on that day. Okay, so 1/1000th is a little bit of light, right? So then down here I had like a half a second, okay? Because it's gonna let in way more light. And then in here, I'm gonna have something, oops, I'm drawing apertures. So here I'm gonna have something normal. So maybe, I don't know, 125, okay? Does that sort of make sense? So this is where you're looking a little glazed over. This is where I remind you that if you don't do the paperwork in here and you don't pay attention and come late or don't come when I'm doing this stuff, then you're gonna be a little lost. I mean, you can get it and we can get you through it, but you'll be a little bit lost, okay? So all of these get taken into consideration for exposure, okay? There's one more part of exposure I'm gonna talk about because it's gonna be relevant to the first assignment and you're not ready for that yet, but you're gonna be really close. I'm hoping next week you'll be working on the first assignment, okay? So it is our meter, okay? And it depends if you're Nikon or Canon, whether the plus is here or here, okay? But generally it looks sort of like this. Okay, so this is my 0, okay? This is a good exposure, okay? It's not too bright, it's not too dark. It's just in the middle, okay? So if when I look at my meter, so in here it's in the middle as well. Let's see if you guys can see it. Yeah, but it's on the side. There's like a little needle in there. I don't know if you guys want to pass it around. It's on your right inside of there. There's a little needle and you're not gonna probably, the meter will move. So all of this stays steady, but then it will like fill in. So it'll go like this. So if I'm filled in like this, do I have a bright photo or a dark photo? If I'm coming this way, is it bright or dark? Bright. Okay, see how it's going to the positive? It's going to be overexposed. Okay, overexposure is bright. Good. So then on the other hand, if it goes the other way and it starts to fill in this way, what am I going to have? A dark. It won't hear you, I promise. It hears me. It's a dark photo. Okay, so if I go all the way over here, what do I have? A pretty black photo, right? That's useless. And you will have this if you do not pay attention to these 3 things, okay? Or you will have a super bright white photo, okay? So our meter is what we want. We don't want any of these little, where it like gets colored in. We want to stay here. That's the goal, okay? For our first assignment, we'll do something a little different, and I'll review this again with you as you've done more paperwork and look a little less deer in the headlights at me. But I'll talk about that then. Sound good? Questions? You seeing the importance of the paperwork? Yeah? Okay. All right. Good luck.